Let's go now to former White House official for both George W. Bush and indeed the Obama administration, Matthew Bryza, and get his response to the clear dominant victory there from Donald Trump in the American election. Good morning to you, Matthew.
Good morning, Julia. Thanks for having me with you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Did you think that Donald Trump would A, win, B, or win so big?
Oh, I don't think anybody thought he'd win so big. And when we spoke on Monday, I had said that the Washington Post had observed that the race is tied and the battleground states could go either way. There could even be a landslide for either candidate. So we really knew nothing from the polls. Well, that's what happened. So I'm really surprised by that. I'm not surprised that Trump won in general. My friends who are on his campaign team were totally confident, although in the last couple of days, they started to seem to get a little bit nervous about the anti-Puerto Rico statements you and I discussed before.
The garbage, yeah.
Exactly. And it seemed like maybe women were breaking for Harris. There was an Iowa poll that was strange and unexpected that showed that Harris was ahead. Well, that poll was wrong. So, yeah, I'm surprised that Trump won by as much as he did. It's the first time a Republican's won a presidential national vote since 2004. So
and it explained that because, of course, we talk so much about the Electoral College, don't we? And you're having to get 270 of those Electoral College votes. And we know now Pennsylvania, Georgia, North Carolina and Wisconsin all called for Donald Trump of those 4 of those 7 swing states. Very likely the other 3 will go for him as well, but certainly with 4 and the other states voting Republican, he is over the line there. But actually, often the Republicans can lose the actual public vote, the individual number of votes, can't they?
Absolutely. So they did in 2000, that very famous super close election between Al Gore and George W. Bush. Trump did. He lost the popular vote the last 2 times. He didn't win the last election, but in 2016. Yeah, so that's been the pattern. So this is a sea change. And what it says to me is that we're in a new epoch of U.S. politics. The Democratic Party needs to reboot entirely. It was speaking down to its electorate with Kamala Harris, right? Not saying anything of substance, thinking that this airy, happy positiveness was what the voters wanted.
Brat Summer, and all the vibes. I mean, it was madness. Yeah, but the media went along with the same media that basically told everyone they were promoting disinformation by saying, hey, Joe Biden is clearly senile and is not fit for the job. I was saying it for months before he went, and it was completely exposed. Then they suddenly turned, and Kamala Harris, who was regarded as a complete idiot, quite rightly before that point, suddenly was the second coming of Christ. And then, of course, the American voters said, can we actually see a little bit more of her? And when they did, they didn't like her.
Yeah, they didn't like the message. They didn't like the messenger of the American public. And it was, I think, a huge mistake. And I felt it at the time that there was a coronation of Kamala Harris rather than a primary. It should have been a competitive race to get a better candidate. Huge, colossal strategic mistakes by the Democrats.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, also, as you say, constantly just saying to the other side that, voting for a fascist, you're a fascist. Back to Hillary Clinton, the basket of deplorables, insulting the American people, as just like people in Britain, insulting the British people. It doesn't go down very well. What a surprise. Do you think that the choice of her as a DEI candidate, she was a black woman, she was appointed as VP because she was a black woman. If she wasn't a black woman, she would not have been in that job. She wouldn't have been able to then run for the presidency. Do you think that that is part of the problem, and actually this obsession with woke politics, with so-called, and it never is diversity of thought, but so-called diversity is part of the lesson that needs to be learned by the Democrats? Or do you think that, frankly, which is what I expect to happen, they will just double down and go harder on it?
Well, the far left will double down, and then they have to build a coalition ever to come back. So that'll make things tricky. Anti-wokeism is part of it. But I think also, more disturbingly for me, is I think just maybe even American women weren't comfortable with a female president. I think that's wrong. But I think that's part of it. Or to put it differently, Trump's sort of macho, testosterone-infused strength made American people somehow feel comfortable in this scary world. You're talking to my friend General Hodges just now about Gaza, Israel, and Ukraine. It's scary out there. And she's so sunny and with her goofy laugh seemed not Yes, right.
Well, that's it. But so often people are talking about, I mean, again, his strongman image, and of course, that iconic photograph of him with his fist in the air saying "fight, fight, fight" after the assassination attempt, the first one on Donald Trump. A lot of us were saying at the time, he's won the election on that alone. But the people were saying, no, men and women won't vote for a female leader, but maybe they just won't vote for a female leader who's only chosen because of her genitals and her skin pigmentation, and not because she's got the credentials for the job. And that actually, she shouldn't be. I mean, she shouldn't be the first woman leader of the United States. Most other countries have voted for women leaders. They don't have an issue with it.
Yeah, look at you guys, 3 times. Yeah, so fair enough. There should have been a competitive primary process, and there should have been one for Biden, too. Yeah. I don't like it. It really is the elites in the Democratic Party that blew it repeatedly. Yeah, there should be competition. And so, yeah, I think the strong man is what the Americans wanted, but there's also a complete failure of messaging on the economy. This is, I think, an important point. The Biden administration, really, the chairman of our central bank, the Fed, Powell, has engineered the soft landing that seemed to be impossible. So we've got high growth in the U.S., 2.8%. Low inflation, 2.4%. Low employment, 4%.
Yeah, you said that. Things might be getting better, but they've been a lot worse, and people feel that. We'll have to leave it there. Time is against us. Matthew Bryce, a former White House official, thank you so much for joining us.